In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Calls, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom unless you pray to Jesus Christ. The grass is in our pockets cause it's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect for fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome.
All right, folks, well, it is Monday. You know what that means. It means it's just a little bit past the hour of 6 right here in beautiful downtown Oklahoma City, which means you are live with America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We do have a lot to talk about today, and I will probably need a drink somewhere towards middle-ish, hopefully end-ish of the show, but I will probably need a drink. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news. I just want to give a quick shout out to the affiliates in their order before we take our first paid spot break. Want to give a quick shout out to the first ones that picked us up. That was AMFM247.com, where this show can be heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 Eastern on their Live 365 stream, as well as 7 low-power AM/FM markets throughout the country. Then the next ones to pick us up were Red State Talk Radio, where the show can be heard every Sunday at 5 a.m. in the morning, Central Time, 6 Eastern. Of course, that does mean that if you're getting up early to maybe check out Richard's show, flip over to Red State, hang out with me for about an hour, then come right back. Otherwise, hopefully you already like Red State and tune into all their normal stuff, so hopefully you're catching my show when you're over there. If not, no big deal. We have lots of podcast places you can catch me later as well. Also, the next ones to pick us up were SHR Media, where I am heard every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 Eastern on their web stream. And then, of course, the next ones to pick us up were High Point Radio out of New Jersey. They are an AM and an FM station. Again, low power, but it's high atop one of the highest points in New Jersey. So the signal actually goes a little further than it's supposed to. But don't tell anybody. It's okay. It's just gonna be a little secret. So anyway, don't actually know what time they run me over there because they've never told me, but they usually download the show pretty early in the morning. So I'm thinking I get put on sometime during the day over there. But either way, it's still another great place to have us on the AM/FM dial. And then the last ones to pick us up were Leading Edge Radio Network, where this show is typically heard every Monday through Friday at 7 in the morning. So usually if you're catching us over there, their feed's about a day behind. But you are welcome to catch us in any of those places, regardless of where you're listening to, whether it's live, whether it's podcast. We just want to thank you for taking the time to spend some of your day with us. In this digital age, there are so many choices, hundreds of thousands of choices. And the fact that there are so many of you that like to spend your time hanging out with crazy old me, I just want to give you a big thank you for that, because this show would not be nearly as much fun to do. I am silly enough that I would do it even if nobody was listening, but it's nice to know that there are folks that do listen. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and take a really quick break, pay a couple of bills, come back and get started with the Depression Fest, which is our current government situation. More coming when we get right back.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all the laws.
Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
The wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those on the take. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks, we're back. We are live. This is America Off the Rails, and again, it is Monday, October, I almost said September, October the 5th, 2015. Where has the time gone? Speaking of where has the time gone, does anybody remember the sigh of relief that we all breathed when we found out that the administration had pushed back the nightmare, not so lovingly called the Affordable Care Act, or as I like to call it, the Unaffordable Care Act? Because guess what? That pushback, those couple of pushbacks, yeah, we're about T-minus 2 months and counting before those go away. So there are some folks that I know in the insurance industry who shall remain nameless, who have already been talking to me about some of the things that are coming down the pike with the now what everyone will be calling the Unaffordable Care Act. Of course, unless you are one of the folks that can't afford insurance on your own, and then you're going to be jumping for joy because you still have insurance. Here's the thing, and I'll get into the details in a second about some of the changes and what we can expect. But here's the thing. We could have done what we needed to do for the folks that were uninsured without torpedoing everything for everybody else. But let me clue you in on something that a lot of folks aren't really talking about because we're all too busy wrapped up in presidential elections and whether Donald Trump is a douche. Which, sorry, Donald, yes, you are a douche. You don't want me calling you that? Then come on my show, because I've tried to contact you several times and you aren't responding. So here's the thing. If you don't want people to think that you are a blowhard, then you should probably actually start answering some questions. And I would have probably been one of the only people that would have allowed you to put out your entire side of the story for the whole hour, but your people haven't seen fit to contact back my people, so as far as I'm concerned, that's about the end of that. Alright, so let's focus on the things that we haven't been paying attention to because we're too busy watching the GOP primary, otherwise known as the Trump circus. The Affordable Care Act, yeah, that they did all kinds of pushbacks and changes and modifications to make sure that nobody felt the pinch until 2016. Guess what? It's almost 2016. So guess what? There is about to be an average of a 23% premium increase across the board. We are talking about people on family plans that will have $8,000 deductibles. What the hell is the point in having an insurance policy where you have an $8,000 deductible? What are you going to do with that? What do you sell a kidney to pay the deductible and then you get to use the insurance? And come on. If anybody can look at what's coming down the pipe with the ACA and doesn't want to admit this is designed to destroy our healthcare system so the government has to come in and fix it, then you're not paying attention. I've been talking about this now for years. And I have friends that have bought into the ACA crap because I have friends that have moved to places in other states where it works because the exchanges and everything are set up and they're like, oh, it's great because now I don't have to pay for this and I don't have to pay for that and I can get the surgery that I need. Yeah, it's great for you. Do you realize how much my insurance payments have gone up in the last year? Because I'm responsible and I worked my tail end off to go find a job that I could not only pay my bills with, but I could also get benefits. And maybe that sounds heartless, but it's not like, come on, I'm 42 years old. It's not like I started out where I am now, making the money that I make now. It was a long, hard, slow process. I'm glad JD's not here right now. Anyway, it was a difficult situation, and it has been, nothing's ever been easy for me. Working my way through college, I flipped burgers and I cleaned toilets. You try to get a teenage kid to clean a toilet today? They look at you like you're crazy. We literally, and this was something else that was talked about with me around earlier, we literally have an entire generation of men who have no idea how to fix anything. Because we're moving away from what we used to have in this country, which is a sense of self-reliance. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect at everything. I understand the concepts. I know what needs to be done. But thanks to certain circumstances, most of which you guys know, if not, you're free to shoot me an email and I'll explain. There are times when my body hates me. So manual labor is not something that I do very well any longer. So the short answer is, do I know how to work on a car? Yes. Am I able to? No. But I can show other people how to do the things that I do know. And I have other family members that know how to do things. So I'm still making sure that my sons know, and even my daughter when she wants to pay attention, because it's important. But that's part of what we've gotten away from, and that's part of what is evidenced by the ACA and the fact that nobody's grabbed any pitchforks yet, is we have gotten away from self-reliance. We don't think self-reliance is important anymore. And I can tell you right now, we couldn't be any further from the truth. Because think about it for a second. We have an entire generation, and I'm not even talking about the kids that are my age, that are my kids' age now that my kids are becoming adults. I'm talking about the ones behind them that are going to know nothing at this point but complete and total government control. Because we're about to hand them control of our healthcare, whether we want to admit it or not. We've already started that process. And now, thanks to the fact that we have a large number of Democrats that have suddenly decided to not hide the fact that they're socialists anymore, we have an avowed socialist, democratic socialist he may be, rising through their ranks and has the potential of becoming the next president of the United States, unless we over here on this side of the aisle can get our heads out of our rear ends. Because right now we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves to even realize who it is that we think should be a good candidate, all because Donald Trump's grabbing all of the attention. If you think that is accidental, you are not paying attention. He buys politicians and sells them. And we want him to be the next president? I don't think so. I've said it before and I'll say it again. He's not going to fix what's broken. He's going to replace Obamacare with Trump Care, which will probably work even worse, because why does he give a damn? He doesn't need health insurance. He can pay any expenses he faces out of pocket for 20 years before he runs out of money, and by then he's probably going to be pretty close to dead anyway. If you really think that he's going to fix the tax system, you're crazy. He's made most of his money manipulating the tax system. If you think he's going to do anything to try to change the bankruptcy laws, which is another thing that he's kind of talked out of the side of his mouth about, he uses those almost every single day. Do you honestly think he's going to make changes to those? I said, there's so many things that we're not paying attention to. And the Affordable Care Act is one of them, and it is about to walk right up into your house and slap you right upside the face. Because all of a sudden, 23% of your paycheck is going to be gone. Or you're going to face fines for not having any insurance. You explain to me how it makes sense to make an 18, 19-year-old person who's single pay for things in their insurance coverages like birth control pills when they're male. The system was never designed around the individual. It was designed around the collective. And that's why it's going to fail. Do you realize that the policy of socialism, as it is on paper, that everybody likes to tout and says how well it works everywhere else, that policy was disproven over 100 years ago. And yet everybody's touting it out over here like it's some great big brand new great idea. And the Affordable Care Act is the first step, and nobody wants to talk about it. I'll tell you the same thing that a lot of talk show hosts were talking about when this first happened. This is the framework. Think of socialized America as a completed house. You know, doors, windows, walls, all that fun stuff. Carpet, nice furniture. Maybe by the time they're done with it, it's probably going to be from some discount furniture place. But hey, you know, this is just a metaphor, so let's roll with it. So the first thing you got to do is put up a frame. The ACA is the framework to move us into socialized healthcare, which will ultimately move us into socialized everything else. And if you don't think it's designed to fail, look at what it's doing. Look at what it's already doing, and the worst parts don't even kick in for 2 more months. And you're trying to tell me that this is a good idea? And do you know what drives me completely crazy about this is one of the biggest things that I have been screaming from, I like to call it a mountaintop, but let's face it, I'm still standing on a molehill, but that's fine. One of the biggest things that I've been screaming about since I started this was the fact that we are about to give the government complete control of our lives from the moment that we're born until the moment that we die. And I'm not comfortable with that. Not because I know for 1,000% they are going to abuse it, but I know they will. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will. But because even if they don't, I'm not comfortable with handing somebody that much control over me and giving somebody the option to say, oh, you're a conservative radio show host? You're on, 8, 9 different places, a lot of them internet, some of them terrestrial. Yeah, we don't like what you're saying, so your insurance just got cut off. So either your show stops or you don't get to go to the doctor anymore. Do I think that's going to happen tomorrow? No. Is it completely outside of the realm of possibility? If you think so, you're not paying attention. Oh, you think I'm wrong? Okay, well, let's flash back a little bit to a few months ago when the president first started talking about his amnesty program and how he was going to ramrod it through Congress. Now, never mind the fact that he was telling everybody for months in 2011 and 2012 he couldn't do that because he's not an emperor. And yet he did that. And one of the first people to completely freak out about the fact that he did that? Saturday Night Live. So if you don't think the powers of the presidency can be abused and things that they have control over can be used, then you're not paying attention. But let's take a closer listen to this, shall we? Because it kind of dovetails into the next topic.
We now return to a brand new episode of Schoolhouse Rock.
Boy, you really have to climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Say, what's that piece of paper doing here?
Oh, you mean me? I'll tell you who I am. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Cool. What kind of bill are you?
Why, I'm an immigration bill. And one day the Republicans might create me so I could become a law.
And how does a bill become a law?
Funny you should ask. Well, first I go to the House and they vote on me. But then I need from the Senate a majority. And if I pass the legislative test, then I wind up on the president's desk. And I say, my sweet, what your whipping? My legs, they were made of paper.
President Obama, what's the big idea? That bill was trying to become a law.
I realize that. But son, there's actually an even easier way to get things done around here. It's called an executive order.
I'm an executive order, and I pretty much just happened. And that's it.
Wait a second, don't you have to go through Congress at some point?
Oh, that's adorable. You still think that's how government works?
Don't listen to him, son. Look at the midterm elections. People clearly don't want this. Oh, you black ass! Why did I come back? I think I landed on my keys.
Mr. President, is this constitutional?
Of course. Presidents issue executive orders all the time.
That's right. I could do lots of things. I'll create a national park or a new holiday.
Or grant legal status to 5 million undocumented immigrants.
Wait, what?
Yep, that's what you're going to do.
Oh, my God. Well, I didn't have time to read myself. Whoa! Okay, go big or go home, huh?
We're gonna take you to court. We're gonna shut down all the college. So many
Well, son, what do you think about the government now?
I think I want to go into the private sector.
Me too, son. Me too. One more thing.
Okay, so it's an old bit, but you kind of get the point. I mean, when folks like Saturday Night Live are looking around going, did he really just, oh my God, he really just did that. So why am I dusting off about, what is that, about 10, 11-month-old story? Well, let me just tell you. White House confirms President Obama preparing executive actions for gun control. That's right, folks. We elected a guy with a pen and a phone, and he knows how to use them. And how is he going to use them, you might ask? Well, let's take a closer look. And this is actually from the Chicks on the Right, one of my favorite blogs. So if you're not reading them, you honestly ought to be. Look out, America. President Obama has his pen and his phone, and he's not afraid to use them. The White House has confirmed that Obama is preparing a series of executive actions on gun control in response to last week's deadly shooting at the, I can't say the name of that college, but the Oregon Community College where the shooting recently occurred. It's a high priority and will continue to be until we start to see more progress on the issue in this town, White House Press Secretary Joshing Earnestly said during his Monday's press briefing. Sorry, Eric, I think that actually originally might have come from you, but I like it, so I'm stealing it. So, whoever it was, let me know. I'll give you credit. The White House press weasel, kind of like that one too, said this administration totally has specific policy ideas, but he can't exactly tell us what those are. All we need to know is that Obama has a pen and a phone, and that's that. I can tell you that they're not stumped. They're continuing to review the law that's on the books and continuing to consult with legal authorities, but also others who may have ideas about what steps that can be taken to keep guns out of the hands of criminals, Ernest said. The left's common sense gun solutions involve removing the gun loophole, and I'm just wondering how that addresses the real problem. None of the recent shootings have had anything to do with that. All the while, liberals say that we need to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. If that's so, why do they seem more focused on taking them out of the hands of law-abiding citizens? Why are they ignoring the easy, common-sense solutions? I'm assuming Obama's executive actions won't involve armed guards in these gun-free zones, or self-defense classes for teachers, or allowing concealed carry permit holders to pack heat in these super-safe gun-free zones. How about addressing the mental health problem in this country instead of targeting law-abiding citizens? How about that? He admitted, however, that he had no details for what the White House was working on, but asserted that the process was a scrub that was ongoing. You know, flashing back to my late 20s, early 30s, the word scrub has a whole other meaning. Kind of thinking that one fits the president more than this one. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Rush is right. We have a sanctity of life problem in this country. Let's address that. Let's address the toxic culture. Oh, I forgot. We can't because that would require singling people out. And that's just plain mean. If this administration punishes everyone, no one has to feel bad, and isn't that what's important? Sparing the feelings of criminals. So, you know, if you missed it, Saturday, Bryce and I had a pretty heated discussion about this topic. Because one of the things that he likes to keep pointing out over and over again is that Congress actually had a bill to start trying to address some of the mental health issues that this particular article even talks about. But the issue is, there were parts of that bill that were atrocious. So yeah, the left, as soon as it didn't pass, started vilifying the Republicans and saying they don't want people to be safe. The simple fact of the matter is, I'd like to give the Republicans as much of the benefit of the doubt as that I can, but after reading through a lot of that legislation on my own, what I can tell you is there was language in that bill that was insane. There is language in that bill that if you were ever, and I mean ever, diagnosed with something that can be considered a mental disorder, you were disqualified from ever carrying a weapon again. That includes such things as PTSD, which is basically the adult version of ADHD. Basically, you can like slam your finger in a car door, get diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because you broke your own finger, get put on medication, and get put on some sort of payment plan for the rest of your life if you really want to push it so far once they label you as somebody that has post-traumatic stress disorder. And no, it's not quite that easy. I'm being ambiguous, but that's not the point. The point is, I don't know a single police officer working today who probably at some point during their career was not diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. They have a stressful job. People that have never done the job don't understand it. It gets compared to the military all day, every day. And I will tell you, having family members that have served in the military and comparing notes with them after doing what I did for 12 years and even longer, it's not the same thing because you cannot turn it off. It never stops. Even in the private sector, as soon as you put a gun on, even if you're as a private security consultant, private security officer, private investigator, all the different things that I've done up to and including bail enforcement and even sometime in actual law enforcement, that's something that never gets turned off. Still to this day, I am not comfortable if I have my back to a door. There are times when I've made myself do it, but I'm nervous as I'll get out. Because I don't like having my back to a door. And if I went to talk to a psychologist about that, you know what they would tell me, especially now that I've been out of that line of work now for 7, 8, almost 9 years? They would tell me that I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So guess what? Under that law, because I don't like having my back to a door because I spent so many years of my life with a gun on and don't like not being able to see who's approaching me because of the fact that I have a gun on. And it's ingrained in me, and it's training. I mean, I still catch myself running through the process of traffic stops. Why would I still do that? Because it's ingrained in me. You know, if I'm bored at work, I'll catch myself and I'm like, okay, so you're approaching a vehicle in your car. What's the first thing that you do? And it's just habit because I did it for so many years. But the fact that I still do that now would probably by a psychologist be another form of post-traumatic stress disorder. Because I've been out of that line of work for nearly a decade, and I'm still mentally running through training exercises. Still afraid to put my back to a door. Don't like to let people get anywhere near the right side of my body if I can help it. Because it was what was trained into me. But by those same rules that almost got passed by Congress, how many cops would have been relieved of duty? Because we're not like London. We don't have unarmed police officers. Maybe that's one of the reasons they were trying to push that through. Maybe they were trying to find a way to get the police to be unarmed by default. Alright, so at this point, we will actually come back and continue talking a little more about executive orders, and then that is probably the scariest thing we'll be talking about today, but another one that kind of goes right there with it, the TPP is rearing its ugly head, so that and more on the gun grab when we come back.
A show that will change internet radio as you know it.
Okay, so let's talk about the story, which I think is hilarious. I'm just going to refer to it as the poop plane, because, like, what else are you going to call it? But there was this plane, okay? It took off. It's the British Airways. They were going to Dubai. I have a hard time pronouncing that one.
It was British Airways? It wasn't Jet. It wasn't Jet Poo?
It
Couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I like it. This story, if we've ever had a story that is up our alley, it's this one. It's bathroom humor up from front to back of the airplane, apparently. They had to turn around to go back to Heathrow because They said the smelly poo in the toilet became unbearable for passengers, and it was so bad. They decided it's so bad that they had to turn around and go back rather than continue their flight. They decided that there wasn't enough Febreze, there wasn't enough anything to handle this.
Maybe they should see a doctor. Is there a GoFundMe for this guy?
It must be a woman, because a woman's going to be mortified and embarrassed. If this is a guy, you know that he's like out there on Twitter and everything else saying, dude, I took down an airplane with how bad that I laid it down.
There was an old woman who flew on jet poo. She ate so many burritos she didn't know what to do.
So we turned the plane around because they made a big stink. We've just made it into a haiku at the end, but there had to be something.
Real Serious Nonsense, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, now on K98 Talk.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Beyond all the hospitals and doctors and surgeries they need just to survive, they also deserve whatever they need to truly live. All the in-home care and day-to-day help they need to live independently, on their own terms. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs were established to provide these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence, at no cost, for life. So many of them need us, and it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
Hey folks, Slickery Trigger here. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about Rebel Road Tactical. As a defensive pistol instructor, I've had the opportunity to observe many different holster designs and configurations. And one thing is clear. Many of my students won't carry a pistol. Or worse, they'll carry one without a holster at all. Holster designers aren't making holsters for normal people. It seems that most holsters are either an expensive piece of gear designed for Rambo or a piece that doesn't fit or function the way real people need it to fit and function. So, like any good Texan, I decided to learn to form kydex and design one myself, one that would fit the needs of average people. The result is the Rebel Road Tactical CRT Modular. The CRT stands for Carry, Range, and Training. Its thin and lightweight curved design minimizes printing and is adjustable to fit just right for superior comfort and function. Check us out after the show at rebelroadconcealed.blogspot.com.
Alright folks, we are back, we are live, we're into the last part of the show at this point, actually down to about 20-ish minutes already. Where the heck does the time go? Okay, so when we left, we were still talking about the whole executive plan to suddenly decide that, you know, he's gonna use his pin in his phone to try to get gun control in place. You know, and Slick, who's hanging out in the chat room, hey brother, how you doing? Brought up a really good question. You know, who decides what a mental illness is? I have a problem with most of that. Being a student of history and reading a lot of different books, a lot of the folks that were involved or considered like the main fathers of psychiatry not sure how stable any of those guys really were either, if you really stop and think about it. I mean, come on, Sigmund Freud? Dude, how many mommy and daddy issues could you possibly have? Dude was high 90% of the time, and yet he's like one of the supposed fathers of psychiatry. I mean, I have a problem with all of that. I'm not saying that there are not crazy people, but I'm saying one of the things that I've tried to say for forever is normal is a relative term, especially when you take into account the craziness that started the psychiatric movement. Those folks are nuts. I mean, you got what? Jungian, you got Freudian. I mean, come on. How many different brands of crazy do you need? Let's just be pretty straightforward about it. If you are honestly considering taking the life of another human being with absolutely no provocation, you are probably nuts. I'm not saying that because you thought about it for a split second that you're crazy. I'm saying if you cannot get the thought out of your head that you want to do someone harm, then you have a problem. That's just my take on it. Because if you can't, I mean, and I'm not talking about, police officers that are drawing on folks because they don't have a choice, or, the police officer who's dealing with a 15-year-old kid in the dark who pulls out a gun where the red safety tip's been removed and the cop in the dark has no way of knowing that it was a plastic gun. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you obsess about the ways that you're going to hurt people and you have absolutely no provocation for that, then you have a problem. And if you can justify it in ways that make yourself feel better, then you might still want to take a look in the mirror. Because the simple fact of the matter is, that's kind of exactly what happened with this Oregon shooter kid. Because he started looking at everybody else like they were the crazy ones. Because he didn't have a girlfriend and he didn't have any friends. So as far as he was concerned, everybody else was crazy and he was normal. Then we've got the dad of the kid blaming the gun, not the kid. And then the mom's like on the complete other side of the spectrum. It's like, hey, as far as I'm concerned, everybody should own a gun. And that honestly surprised me. But to use this as an excuse for the president to finally say, you know what, I'm tired of talking about this. It's all we do is talk about it. I'm going to do something because Congress won't. Which is pretty much the same exact thing he said about immigration. And everybody was like, no, there's no way. He'll never do that. He can't do that. He's already admitted he can't do that because he's not an emperor. Well, guess what? He's about to do it again. And there will not be a damn thing we can do to stop him because he's got his pen and he's got his phone and he's using the stuff that the other presidents have done before him to do what he wants to do, regardless of how anybody else feels about it. This has been my problem with all of this all along, from the Affordable Care Act to the signing statements to the executive orders. Yeah, it's great when your guy gets a turn, but if you don't think it's a good idea for the other side to have the same power, then your side probably doesn't need it either. And if we didn't have all of these stupid signing statements and stupid executive orders, we wouldn't have half of the things that are going on right now. Yeah, there are probably some good things that have been accomplished by those, but let's look at it legitimately. Is it constitutional? That's my stopping point for anything anymore at this point in time. Is what they are trying to do constitutional? If the answer to that question is no, then nobody needs to have the ability to do whatever it is that they've cooked up in their beady little brain. The Constitution needs to be the end-all and the be-all of our federal government. That is it. It was put in place by people that are 10 times smarter than you, probably 1,000 times smarter than me, and I don't think we should be questioning it because, simply put, it works. This government was started as an experiment in 1776. Even the folks that wrote that document thought at best it would be around 50 years, and look at us now. So I ask you again, do we really want to keep electing presidents who think that executive orders and signing statements are the way to go? Because if you think Trump's your guy and you don't think he's going to use that same power that right now everybody's up in arms with Obama about, then you are insane. Because he is a businessman and that's what he does. He works whatever system he's inside of to his benefit. It will have nothing to do with you. So for all of you Trumpkins out there, and I'll be nice and pick that one instead, there's another thing that I could call you, but I won't. You really need to start paying attention. Because we are about to have some really big problems. And the last one that I want to talk about before I wrap it all up in a nice little bow for you and give you the heart attack of your life, which is what I'm going through right now, trying to have this conversation with you because I already know where this story is going to end. The TPP is rearing its ugly head again. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's the Trans-Pacific Partnership. If you haven't looked into it, you honestly need to be, and I don't mean by following hashtags on Twitter and picking out which side you're on, because I've seen enough of that going on in DMs and in public today. My problems with the TPP are my own. I have done enough research after being put in contact with folks that were opposed to TPP and TPA, who we will be donating airtime to for segments, ads, banners for the website, whatever it is they need until we can stop this. And let me tell you exactly why. This will destroy our sovereignty. We're already really close. If you look at everything that's going on in the news with the UN all of a sudden deciding there needs to be a world police force, and all of a sudden we're completely on board with that. But now you throw the TPP into the mix, that puts us under the jurisdiction of a world court. It removes our ability for food labeling, border disputes, immigration, all of it would all come under the jurisdiction of the world court. And if that's not scary enough for you, because one of the biggest things that everybody's talking about is, oh, it's not that bad, it's designed to fight China, China's doing too many big bad things with their currency and devaluing it and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Okay, so maybe they're not a part of it now. But if you look, and you can find it, because there's lots of folks that have gotten a look at it and defied presidential mandate to not say anything, you can find the scariest part of that agreement at all. Once we are a part of that agreement, which, by the way, in case anybody's keeping score, we basically gave the president the authority to make us a part of that agreement, whether we want to or not, when they fast-tracked TPA. Because they gave the president the majority of our negotiating power for trade agreements, which is how they're framing the TPP. But it's not a trade agreement. It changes our sovereignty. It destroys us as a nation. We would be the United States of America in name only if this passes. Because we will come under the jurisdiction of not only the United Nations, but a world court. And that will, my friends, be the beginning of the New World Order. You can call me a tinfoil hat wearer all you want. At this point, I will wear that distinction with pride because I have been telling you for months how bad this is. And there have been people that have been doing it for a lot longer than I, because I wasn't paying attention to how bad this was until it was brought to my attention when the TPA vote came up a few months ago. And I sat in for JD one morning when he was sick, and I got to meet some folks that knew more about this than I ever thought there was to know. And it terrifies me, because it's a dockable agreement. Majority rule. Once it's implemented, anybody that wants to join in, all they've got to do is call for a vote. That means China, that means Iran, that means Syria. That means if they keep getting enough territory to have themselves actually declared what they want to be, which is a nation, ISIL can come to the table. What, you don't really think they're just land grabbing for the sake of land grabbing, do you? They want their own country. They're going to find a way to get it, and they're going to carve it out of Syria and Iraq and wherever else they can take territory from. And if we let this pass, when they declare themselves a nation, and when they get recognized by the UN, which they will, then all they have to do is call for a vote. And then we have no choice but to do business with them. So, for all of you conservatives out there like, oh, I don't know if I can be opposed to this because look at all the people that don't like it, that are liberal. And look at all the people that don't like this, and they're crazy. Or groups like Anonymous are all of a sudden saying, yeah, we kind of like this idea. Has Anonymous ever once really done anything that wasn't in their best interest? Do you really think Anonymous as a whole is looking out for the United States of America? Or are they looking out for what best benefits their group? This is the problem, folks. We have become segmented. We are compartmentalized, categorized. A lot of us that have the same like minds grouped together, which is a good thing. I've met some really great people since I started doing the whole blogging, writing for papers, radio shows. I've met some great folks. And I love them all. But when all we do is spend every day in an echo chamber, we become distorted to our own views. And it's one of the things that I've tried to point out from the beginning. Talk was never designed to be just a conservative radio station. Talk was designed to bring all viewpoints together so that we could start talking to each other instead of yelling and screaming. And I will be the first one to admit, I fail at that pretty much every Saturday morning. But I still try every Saturday morning. Because the simple fact of the matter is, the one thing that none of us really seems to think about anymore, or even really talk about anymore, is we all, down to pretty much every last one of us, unless you are really, really too far one direction or the other, we have more in common with each other than we do these idiots in D.C. And if what they're doing and what they're trying to keep you from noticing does not scare the hell out of you, then you're not paying attention. The Affordable Care Act is about to cripple our economy. We have a president who's threatening executive order against guns. If that happens, that will also cripple our economy. And then we have the TPP, which will completely remove our sovereignty, thereby also crippling our economy. Told you I was going to bring this all back around, tie it all together, put it in a great big box with a nice pretty bow for you just so you could open it up later and go, oh crap, he was right. What did Obama tell us he was going to do from the beginning? Fundamentally transform America. We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming America forever. We are 4 days away from fundamentally transforming America forever. We are 3 days away from fundamentally transforming America forever. We're 2 days away from fundamentally transforming America. We're only 1 day away, so cast your vote for me, and we will fundamentally transform America forever. That night, 2008, we sent him the message that that's exactly what we wanted him to do, and he hasn't stopped since. Hook, crook, executive order, gag orders, telling people they can only look at things in locked rooms in the basement. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do, and nobody is standing up to him. Nobody is standing up to him. What are we going to do? Are we just going to fold? Are we done? Is the country gone? Should we just cue REM and call it a good day? Because that's exactly what I'm starting to think is going to happen. Because we don't have the spirit of self-reliance anymore. They have managed to get rid of it. And I'm sorry to say, one of the people that drove this home to me the hardest was Dr. Arrington. When he came on my show, and he talked about, before he ever started his show, and he talked about how it usually takes a generation, maybe 2 generations, to fundamentally change a people. It has been about 2 generations since all of those changes began. And we are seeing the end results. We have a president who hates America the way she was. And I'm not backing down from that statement anymore. You can hate me. You can turn off the show. You can not read another article that I type. I don't give a damn. He hates this country. And he proves it every single day. And I'm done. I'm done. You can call me a racist. You can tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but he's not my president. I did not vote for him. He cannot have my guns. He will not even know where my guns are. And if that gets me thrown in jail, fine. But I have watched Christians get slaughtered in other countries. And now I've watched Christians be killed on our own soil. And the only thing this ass clown wants to do is a gun grab. It's the part of the story nobody's talking about. The people that said they were Christian were being shot in the head. The people who said they were atheist or something else got shot in the leg. Nobody's talking about that part of it. You know who I think out of everybody there deserves a medal? The second person who wouldn't deny Christ even after they saw what happened. This is it, folks. We're almost done. And I don't know what to do. So I will do what I always do. I will come on here every night, try to give you information, sometimes try to make you laugh, other times probably make you want to run away screaming. I'm pretty sure tonight's going to be the latter and not the former. But this is scary. We live in a scary time where we have an entire group of our own people that are ready to just sell the farm and say, yeah, you know, this country pretty much sucks. We don't want really to be who we were anymore. And the scariest thing, being a student of history, do you realize that Marx theorized that the only truly communist country that could ever exist and survive the transition would have been one that originally started with unfettered capitalism? We're about to prove him right. If we're still here to see it. At this point, I'm not sure if we're going to be. Just being completely honest, because I really, really do not know what else to do anymore. I just don't. I've been doing this now for 4 years. Yeah, I'm getting more attention. I'm bringing more people in to the discussion. We have new shows that have started here. We have all of these different people with differing ideas and all of those different things that we do on a daily basis about all of those things. But at the same time, I just honestly do not know, because every time I get a glimmer of hope, just a glimmer. You know, I'm not even saying as much of anything, but I did start having a glimmer because of the fact that there's an election coming. And I thought maybe, just maybe, the American people had seen enough of this crazy guy to realize that he wasn't what we needed for the country. But now we have somebody like Bernie Sanders bringing in double the numbers that Obama did in 2008 to his rallies. And it's really enough to make you stop and wonder. Alright, folks, that's going to do it for this particular episode of America Off the Rails. Sorry, I went a little off the rails myself today, but it's a crazy time we live in, and I'm not sure what's coming next. So, my thoughts to you all, stock up on ammo before you kill. I'll be back with you tomorrow night.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.